much fun then as I am now. I'll probably still be here. You call it fun.
We are live, so
We are live, almost 1 more minute. Now,
Okay, it's 1 o'clock. I'm going to call the November 19th Board of Commissioner meeting to order. Today, we're going to start out with a prayer by Commissioner Sartella, followed by the pledge by Commissioner Ballard.
Our acolyte is late. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather in a free country. We're grateful for all that serve on this board in our county. We're also grateful, Lord, for a successful harvest for our farmers and keep them all safe as they continue to wrap up their year. And we understand that there's been some very good crops due to your blessing. We ask you would be with us today to guide us in our meeting, to have us make strong decisions, and to remember coming forward that Thanksgiving is coming up and that we are thankful for all things that you give us. In your son's most precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And help our hunters shoot true. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You know, I'm not a hunter, but I love venison.
Leslie, roll call, please.
District 1 Chairman John Block.
Present.
District 2 Commissioner Roger Ballard.
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Gary Heberling.
Here.
District 4 Commissioner Bill Sarkella.
Here.
District 5 Commissioner Christine Lee.
here,
District 6 Commissioner Evans Ehart.
Here.
District 7 Commissioner John Moody.
Here.
Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
We do have two deletions to today's agenda. We are going to delete under unfinished business FA 154-24 and FA 155-24. If there are no other corrections or additions to today's agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda with the two deletions.
I support that.
I have a motion from Commissioner Heberlein, supported by Commissioner Lee, to adopt today's agenda with two deletions. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Agenda is adopted. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve our meeting minutes from November 5th.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Lee to adopt the meeting minutes from November 5th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. You would receive your correspondence from Jody through email the other day. We're going to move into commissioner reports, so we're going to start with Commissioner Moody.
I had Speaker Township on the 7th. They had a couple fire runs for the month. They were gonna be utilizing the jail work crew to do some cleaning up in their cemetery. Going through some zoning administrator applications. They were gonna get some cleaning quotes to clean a building. That was about it. Send some of their new people to some trainings. And then I had Work Township had a special meeting on last Tuesday morning. They went over the assessor's contract, a review on one of their employees. And they were working on an unpaid time off policy, but they tabled that. And that's about it. I have work tomorrow night in Fremont on Thursday.
Okay, thank you, John. Evan?
I've had nothing the past 2 weeks. I have my township meeting this coming Thursday.
Okay. I attended a special Marion Township Board meeting on November 6th after our BOC meeting. They held that meeting. They did enter into that agreement with Foster and Swift to contest the MPSC rules. That is all I have. Christine?
I was at Brown City Council meeting and their garden club was honored in the noise ordinance draft. They're looking it over on the 25th. They're gonna have a public hearing. And they're also gonna have a second public hearing for the Maple Valley Estates. The Catholic Church came and with their site plans to build a new hall. And that'd be it for that. And then I was at Maple Valley Township and business basically as usual. And then Flint Township, their final allotment for their ARPA funds, they're deciding what to do with it. The cemetery, they want to put new signage. They put a new fence up around it. And they talked about the MTA Christmas party that we're all invited on December 11th at the bowling alley. And then I was at Elmer Township and they were doing with some land splits and, revenue sharing they talked about, and they were talked about their ARPA funds, and that's it.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Bill?
Port Sanilac appointed a new trustee, approved their CFA finance and also Bark Shaney rental agreement. Carsonville purchased a new village truck. Went over their MDOT contract and discussion on their DT station right away. Bill's wrapping up their ARPA monies for security, and they always have a discussion on the trailer park tax down there as well. And I'm glad to report as of this morning with the mandatory deer reporting, Sanilac County is leading the deer harvest at 3,200 deer.
We're number one last year,
Yeah.
weren't they?
Very good. Thank you, Bill. Gary?
Since our last meeting, I attended Moretown Township. And at that meeting, they went through their creel. They just finished up. The planning commission brought it to the board. It was approved. Matt Armstrong from the DTF gave a report on the DTF and what they did in the community and what they could help out with. Custer Township, John Kinnear, which has been a longtime staple in our county in farming and serving on different committees, even in the county committees. He is retiring as the supervisor, and Rob Kirkpatrick, I believe, is taking over his job. They also give updates on a sign that they're updating, a digital sign at their meeting. Talked about blight issues. And the big topic probably tonight was about Town Line Road. As you know, that they've done the first mile, redid that because there was a lot of issues with the road and a lot of dust issues, and the county road commission went in and redone the first mile. And I don't know if there is an issue about doing a second one, but Moore Township was there, expressed that they had signed an agreement to get the second mile done, and Custer didn't receive that letter. So between them and Moore Township, they're working that out. And as you know, Custer Township and Mooretown use the same road, Town Line Road. So it wasn't a big deal. They're just going to get to the bottom of it. And since our last meeting, Scott Kenny was elected the new Watertown Township Supervisor. Will take over in January. So into my report.
Thank you, Gary. Roger?
I attended Argyle Township last week. It was mostly normal business, bill approval. They did have a citizen there. He had contacted me about a dog issue up there. I don't know why I seem to be the dog guy on the BOC, but I did what I could for the man. Nathan helped out quite a bit. A ticket was issued to the individual that was letting the dogs run loose. And he called me right after that to thank me for my help. So that I was glad we had some success there. Last night, first meeting I went to was City of Marlette. They had a new vacuum truck out there for the commissioner or the council to look at. Their eyes got a little big when they told them it was 380,000, and that was just a little one. So, but they got to see one and ask questions. So that'll probably happen down the road. Their audit report was given last night. They got a good audit, clean audit. The gentleman from King & King told them to expect a letter from the state because they did have 3 consecutive years of overspending. And that was due to some staffing issues. This year was much better, no issues. So he said that the letter really doesn't mean anything. It's automatically generated. So he gave them kudos for doing that. They had a lot of training by Plant Moran, which helped immensely. So it sounds like you're on the right track, which is good. That's my city tax dollars at work. They approved the Sumco Gas franchise ordinance. They approved a MDOT easement for a drain project that should address the flooding issue on M53. It's a $4.3 million project. City of Marlette shares just over 142,000, which is a gift. And it will include repaving Chard Street, which is all the way from M53 to the east past the pool and park area. So that's a good thing.
Is that where it always floods there by Marlette?
By Marlette Oil and Gas, yeah. Been an issue for decades. During public comment, I suggested that because they talked briefly about other infrastructure that they might want to address, but didn't really seem too committed. And I said, I told them as a lifelong resident, I would hope they would get a solid cost projection on that infrastructure, because they're looking at fire hydrants and water lines that are unknown of what they're constructed of, whether they're lead or not. And do that rather than let that project go through and then get cut up later on after they're putting 6 inches of concrete for the first half block, which will be great for Union, because there's a lot of semis. They have a diesel station there, so. Councilman Steve Quady did not get reelected. He was smiling quite heavily. He's got a grandchild, first one coming in spring, so I don't think his feelings were hurt any, but I thank him for his 22 years. He's done a good job. And Lamont Township, I was up there after the Marlet meeting. There was a discussion by the fire chief on some possible new standards, federal standards they're working on that would essentially make fire trucks obsolete after 15 years, regardless of condition. This is another case of the government mandating things and without any funding sources other than go fight for grants. And this is what made the meeting go on till 11 o'clock last night, was a presentation by their insurance agent, which was really quite interesting. They've got a pretty good company representing them, EMC. I'm not familiar with them, didn't get a chance to look them up, but they've got some really, really great coverage that covers their fire trucks and staff and a lot of things. And that's all I did yesterday.
It was a pretty busy day, Roger.
Well, not really. I'll get into the rest of my other report.
Appreciate everyone's commissioner reports. Nathan, your administrator report, please.
Yes, thank you. First off, want to thank our clerk Leslie. Elections, as always, since I've observed, gone off without a hitch. I know it's kind of elections at this day and age seems like a thankless job at some points, but I think there was little to no controversy. Everything went well, and people were in and out with their results. Things were updated online, so kudos to Leslie and her team.
Thank you. And thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
I heard she got home before the sun came up.
This time.
3:30.
Have to order breakfast in, yeah. I have a city managers meeting on Thursday. Those are something that taken part in and enjoy the opportunity to hear from them, what they're doing, and hear from them, things that they're, I guess, curious in ways the county can work to support them or help them. So I'll know more after Thursday's meeting. Also have a meeting with economic development. Samantha from EDC on Friday. She's going to give me an update on some things in regards to kind of what's really been the hot topics that she's been dealing with the last couple of weeks in the county. And at that time, I did email her that I would like to see if she could come in and kind of bring a year end of the year update, or maybe around the first of the year, kind of update you guys with kind of what went on in 2024. So, and one of the topics we talked about this morning on the agenda, there's some stuff with reclassifications. I think the employee reclass process is something that I'm going to take a careful look at. We talked about it in personnel. I think that's something we just need to continue to evaluate and determine how we want to handle that moving forward, if we want to tweak it or what we want to do to maybe make it a little better for the county. So and that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Nathan? Seeing none, we are going to move on. At this time, I'm going to call for public comment pertaining to the agenda. Are there any public comments pertaining to the agenda today? Seeing none, we're going to move into interviews. We have a Sand Lake Transportation Board interview. Rex Hazard here. Rex, welcome. Come on up to the podium. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've lived in Sand Lake County since 1967. I'm an Army veteran of 3 years. I've served on the board now, Sand Lake Transportation for 2 years. The one had, I think we had a great group out there, good discussions, thorough discussions. And I'd like to continue on with that. I retired from Ford Motor Company after 30 years, so Just trying to keep busy.
Sounds good. Does anybody have any questions for Rex?
I'll just speak on behalf of Rex. I sit on that board with him, and with his extensive automotive background, he really asked some tough questions on the quality of the buses that we've been getting and so forth, and we're always exploring ways to make that an improvement as best we can. So as a commissioner, I appreciate him serving on that board.
Very good. Well, thank you for being here today, Rex.
Thank you.
Okay, with interviews completed, we're going to move directly into appointments to boards. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to appoint Rex Hazard for a 4-year term expiring 12/1/28 to the Sand Lake Transportation Board.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support it.
I have a motion and support. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. You stepped out just too soon for me to say congratulations.
You didn't.
Well, seeing how he was the only one running.
Yeah, yeah. Not much competition on that one today.
Got things to do and people to see.
County Commission Chair appointments, I see no need for that, so we're gonna move into resolutions. And we have today a resolution honoring our own Wendy Willing for years of service. Wendy, welcome. And Roger's gonna read your resolution. And go ahead.
Come.
Excuse me.
We'll get if it's okay with you, can we get a photo with you with Roger and the resolution after he reads it?
Yes.
I've got some I can share with you.
Eric Levine worthy.
Yeah. Whereas Wendy Willing is retiring from Sand Lake County with over 30 years of dedicated service, and whereas Wendy began her career with Sand Lake County on May 2nd, 1994, as a juvenile court caseworker for the Sand Lake County Juvenile Court. She was promoted as deputy administrator on September 7th, 1999, and then as interim county administrator on March 16th, 2001, followed by a human resources / assistant administrator on January 23rd, 2002. Additionally, on May 31st, 2010, her position was reorganized to include equalization director. Further, on July 21st, 2015, the position was restructured to equalization director. And whereas throughout her career as a public servant, Wendy has provided excellent service and quality work and gained the respect and admiration of her colleagues. And whereas Wendy has demonstrated her extensive knowledge of county government and imparted that knowledge with character and integrity. Whereas Wendy Willing's years of dedicated service have contributed to the improvement and stability of Sand Lake County, and now therefore be it resolved that the Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners by this resolution recognizes and commends Wendy Willing for her longstanding commitment to Sand Lake County and its citizens. Be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Wendy Willing and spread upon the proceedings of the Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners this 19th day of November, 2024. Congratulations.
I have a resolution offered by Commissioner Ballard. Is there support?
I support it.
I support from Commissioner Lee. Leslie, a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Sarkella,
Yes.
Commissioner Ehart,
Yes.
Commissioner Moody,
Yes.
Commissioner Block,
Yes.
and Commissioner Heberlin.
Yes.
Okay, resolution is adopted.
Very good.
Come on up and get a photo.
Does she want to change?
You want to get in the background?
You want to wear it, Roger?
Great. Great. That's how we do this.
Closer so you can see the faces. This is for Eric Levine, I should know. Okay,
No pressure.
no pressure.
Party.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wendy.
Wendy was my go-to person a lot of times for park questions regarding taxes and whatnot. Appreciate her.
Okay, that's going to conclude general resolutions today. So we're going to jump into committee reports and we're going to start with Commissioner Ballard.
Oh, let's see where to go. Last Tuesday, I had a program committee for CMH. That was just normal report reports. Parks, no meeting. We have one coming up first part of December. Lot going on. I was out at Evergreen yesterday. The PIP surfacing, which is poured in place. It's a rubber surface. That has been completed. They were just loading up equipment yesterday when I got there. And that is for the play equipment that's up the Weagle Round up by the pond. And then play equipment that's been installed down on the by the big pavilion. The kayak launch was installed, I believe, on the 7th and then taken out on the 8th for the winter. So that part of the thing's done. And construction's, I hope, still moving along. I gotta call the contractor and express a couple of concerns with him. Construction at Lexington, I swung in there last Saturday on my way to an event in Lexington, and the HVAC was being worked on and electrical was being worked on. I got a picture today that siding is going on, so that is moving along. And we have a parks personnel meeting tomorrow. And I believe that's it.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Gary?
As Nathan already alluded to earlier in his report, we had a personnel meeting this morning, went over a number of different topics. Also, as Roger alluded to, we had a park board meeting last Tuesday, and we had an excellent year at all three of the parks. And I don't know if Roger wanted to come in on that or not, but and also what we talked about the updates and how things were progressing on the remodeling of the park. End of my report.
The just to touch on the revenues a little bit, we don't have final numbers, of course, but Evergreen and Forester are both pushing $550,000 in camping revenues. Lexington is, I believe, 138, which for a little park with 145 or with 45 sites is pretty good. I know in 2019, Forester, their revenues were 300,000. And they went up significantly with COVID and haven't let up yet.
Do you think that got a lot of people involved in the practice of camping and that's sticking? I mean, some people have probably moved away from it, but maybe
they do. It's a kind of an evolving thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what next year will be like. I don't know exactly how many state parks around us that were closed or closed to some extent. Port Crescent was totally closed. Governor Whitmer had pledged 250 million or appropriated to state parks. So a lot of them were either totally or partially shut down. We have had people say that they've never been to our parks. They've always gone to state parks. And I think we've gained a lot of return customers from that. So it'll be interesting to see how next year goes.
Yeah.
And what people are really excited about this project at Evergreen, that's gonna really draw a lot of people in. We had a meeting up there with the Rotary Club. I don't know if I mentioned this, there was a family up there and they were asking what all was going in, and Joe explained to them that most of it was handicap accessible and the putt-putt was handicap accessible, and they were totally geeked over this project. They have a 16-year-old in a wheelchair and they only live like 20 minutes from the park. They've never been there. And so that makes me feel good when we have that sort of response.
Right.
And it's not even done yet. So I think that's going to up our occupancy throughout the week as well as the weekends.
Very good.
So, yeah.
What's the completion date on all that work out there at Evergreen, Roger?
I wish I knew.
What's your best stab?
Not this fall.
No, it won't this fall.
Everything ready for spring, summer next year?
That's what I've been telling the contractor. It's got to be done by next spring.
Okay.
So
I'm looking forward to checking it out myself.
we've had issues with, well, like we had to get the putt-putt, do some reevaluation on that, get it resurveyed. It's kind of a new concept in putt-putt using the port in place. So it's a pretty pricey golf course, but it's going to be well worth it in the end. It's going to be quite an addition. So, yeah.
Is there a timeline on the house in Lexington?
For the third winter.
Yeah. We had that discussion last week.
I think about it every day, believe me. Yeah. So There's deciding going on.
They'll appreciate it when it's done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they will.
Okay.
I'll shut up now.
Well, I'll say with our parks, if you don't get your reservations in, you're not getting in,
Yeah.
right, Leslie?
I'm very worried.
Yeah, we don't.
How do I get an inside gig?
I cannot be bought.
You'll have to take on a summer job there.
Right, I'll go work
We will be
Post camp.
for Joe.
He might have a manager's position open. He can live there full time.
Ironically enough, I just had one committee meeting, transportation of all things. So we've got 2 new buses in so far this year, so that's been good, but like I mentioned, the quality issues, a lot of stuff we're having to self-fix ourselves, and they're working on it, having some backup dispatchers, so that way they can keep things moving all through the weekends. And drivers as well, and then the pilot bus, the low floor bus, we're waiting to see that, so that might be able to get up here and get into service. That'll be a newer style with lower floors, so a lot easier to get into. Because we're still kind of hogtied, so to speak, because there's only the one firm, Forest River's building them, and we're trying to get, these are out of New York, so we're trying to look at something else. So we don't have to deal with the low quality.
This would be a
Well,
bus
why
maybe
is
more
it-
similar to the buses we see like in Port Huron,
Yeah.
those low.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bill, why is there so many issues that we have to fix when they come back here?
Well, if we send them back, we don't get them,
But why is there issues?
because of the way they're built.
Did,
And that comes through Hoekstra, who is the distributor for Forest River, and the state oversees that. So if the state's letting it go through, our hands are tied. We got to take what they give us,
Because the state's paying for it.
right?
Yeah,
Probably the dumbest question, if we have to fix them, can we reimburse or something?
Well, they try. Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
did,
Ask Rex.
those,
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are government grants, aren't they partially funded?
Yeah.
That's strange because I worked in Brown City for a few years at General Coach. And we built shuttle buses, and I remember people being in there while we were building them, and then I worked in finish and doing all the testing and correcting all that. One outfit it was for out in California, up by San Francisco, we did, I don't know, a whole fleet of buses for them. This guy stayed at Brown City and worked with us closely. When the buses went out of there was nothing wrong with them. And we never got any calls, rarely any calls. So I don't know if they slacked up on their quality, the feds have on their requirements, or I've heard things about Forest River RVs that weren't good. So if it's a quality issue there, it must be, but they sure don't fix things.
I don't think we fully recovered from the government's response to the pandemic. The damage that was caused, and that's causing a lot of issues still to this day. Bill, were you, was
Yeah,
that?
that's all I have.
Okay, thank you for your report. Christine?
I had child abuse this morning and they noticed that vaccinations are going down and the rise of whooping cough is going up. I had the health board this morning, and at the Maple Valley, they have floor grinding, tile and carpet removal. That was completed. They're having a company come in and check the storm and sewer inspection today and tomorrow. And they installed a new sidewalk out front that goes all the way to Diamond Trail. And it's wide enough, and they're gonna put benches and stuff in. Yeah, I asked, Steve said they couldn't understand why they never done that, because their kids use that quite a bit.
How is the health department funding those operations down at Maple Valley?
They had a grant and they're really watching their pennies
Okay.
really strongly. And then I haven't reported in a while about Region 7, the Sunrise Pace is picking up their participants. They're up to 80 participants now. And if anybody ever wants to go down and see what it's like and what it's all about, just let me know and we could go down to Fort Gratiot Township and take a tour. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Christine. As Gary stated earlier, we had a personnel meeting today. Our emergency management director is retiring from that position. So you'll see on the finance agenda today that the filling of that position is for immediate approval so that we can get it posted and get it filled. I have a planning commission meeting tonight. Pretty boilerplate stuff there. So that's all I have.
I've had no committee the past 2 weeks. I have HDC tomorrow. That's it.
Okay, John?
I have no report.
Okay, very good. Appreciate everyone's committee reports. We're gonna move on. We have no need for unfinished business today as both items were deleted from the agenda, so we're gonna move into new business. And today we're gonna start out with FA 104-24, award and authorize the purchase of workstations, information technology.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the agreement between Sand Lake County and the Human Development Commission for the purpose of distributing safe partnership. Do I got the right number?
No,
No,
I don't.
the next page, 104.
no,
Okay.
took off the
Yeah,
one.
those were deleted.
Yes.
My mistake. Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby awards and authorizes the purchase of 15 Dell Precision 3680 workstations for administration and treasurer's office at a cost of $1,223.63 each, along with 15 Microsoft Office License Office Suite Pro 2024 from CDWG at a cost of $300 each for a total cost not to exceed $22,854.45 with funding from the information systems budget.
I support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there any discussion?
These two finance last week? I think so.
They were FAs, so they have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion related to FA 104-24? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 105-24, award and authorize purchase of laptop computers, information technology.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby awards and authorizes the purchase of 50 rugged Panasonic laptop computers for Sand Lake County Public Safety Units from CDWG. The Panasonic laptops at a cost of $1,749.72 each, along with the purchase of Microsoft Office License Office Suite Pro 2024 from Dell CDWG at a cost of $300 each for a total cost not to exceed $102,486 with funding of $90,187.68 and from 9/11 Emergency Services and $12,298.32 from Drug Task Force.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 170-2, approval of 2024 current claims.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims for 2024 identified on the accounts payable report dated November 12th, 2024 for the general bank account in the amount of $91,426.63.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Moody. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 171-24, budget adoptions, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following amendments and establishes the following accounts as listed.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 172-24, approval of additional general fund bank account checks charged to October 2024.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of additional general fund bank account checks charged to October 2024 as follows. $1,563,508.85 in ACH payments, $469,368.93 in checks for a grand total of $2,032,877.78. Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 173-24, acceptance of the 2024 election infrastructure grant.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby accepts the 2024 election infrastructure grant in the amount of $50,000 for the purpose to expand on security, storage, and technology in the Sand Lake County Elections Department.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarkella, support from Commissioner Eberly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 174-24, approval of contractual law enforcement services, Sheriff's Office.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the non-expiring agreement for contract for law enforcement services between the Village of Applegate and the Sand Lake County Sheriff's Office and further authorizes the board chairman to sign the necessary agreement. Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 175-24, approval of Homeland Security Grant Program.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the Homeland Security Grant Program subrecipient agreement and further authorizes the board chairman to sign the agreement.
Support. I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Moody. Is there any discussion?
Should that, on that motion, it says October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2024. Should that be 25?
I believe you're correct. I'm gonna have to find it here in the agenda. We're at.
Page 8. I just. Right.
Subrecipient.
We're not on that one yet.
Oh, we're not on that one.
That's the next one.
I was thinking I was off.
No.
I was getting scared for a moment.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
It just popped out.
Appreciate you looking ahead.
Yeah, so we are on FA 175-24. We have motion and support. Is there any further discussion related to FA 175? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. So now we are on to FA 176-24, approval of professional services agreement, safety and security services for sheriff's office.
Yeah, and that's the date, October 2024 to September 30th, 2024.
Actually, wasn't that a 3-year?
It could be, I just,
So we have a couple options here. One would be, Nathan, do you think there's any way we could reach out to the sheriff's office quickly for some clarification and we could?
They're not.
They're not in there.
Yes.
And so we will simply move on from FA 176 until we get clarification. So
3-year.
we are going to follow proper procedures. And what I would like to do is get a motion to table FA 175-24 until the
I'll
end of
make
the
that
meeting.
motion.
I have a motion to table. Is there support?
Support.
Support. Is there any discussion?
That is looking back in the minutes from November 5th, they have the same date in the minutes.
I almost feel like in November 5th, I think it got noticed maybe in the meeting, it was wrong and it got vocalized, but it must not have got changed on paper. So, but before we move any further, all in favor of tabling this to the end of the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion is carried.
Chairman, can I get who seconded? It was either Heberlin or Moody.
Moody,
Who,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Moody supported.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, so we are going to jump over FA 176 and move on to FA 177-24, approval of the Chill Grant third-party administrator contract.
Santa Ana County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the Chill Grant third-party administrator contract and further authorizes the board chairman to sign the contract for the purpose of moving forward with the grant process.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarcella. Is there support? Support. I have support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 178-24, award and authorize the bid for consulting services for the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority.
Santa Ana County Board of Commissioners hereby awards and authorizes Fleiss and Vanderbrink the bid for the purpose of providing consulting, educational, training, education, policy review, technical assistance, and more with funding from the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority budget. Order.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarcella, support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there discussion?
When does that start? Anybody know? You know, Nathan?
Once it was approved by the board, then they were going to reach out to initiate their.
Oh, to initiate it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay,
yeah, they were waiting for approval.
thank you.
Is there any further discussion related to FA 178-24? All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are now on FA 179-24, award and authorize the bid for copy paper.
Santa Ana County Board of Commissioners hereby awards and authorizes some office supply the low bid for 300 cases of copy paper to cost not to exceed $10,215, including delivery in December and July with funding from the central purchasing budget. Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Heberlin. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are now on to FA 180-24, approval of the 2024 Health Department lease agreement.
Santa Ana County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the 2024 Health Department lease agreement between Santa Ana County and Santa Ana County Health Department.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 181-24, adoption of the 2025 proposed resolution, General Appropriation Act, the 2025 proposed general and non-general fund budget.
Salem County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the 2025 proposed resolution, the General Appropriation Act, and the 2025 proposed general and non-general fund budgets. Further hereby schedules a public hearing on the 2025 proposed budget for December 3rd, 2024, and directs the board secretary to publish the legal notice for immediate approval.
Support. I have a motion from Commissioner Sartella, support from Commissioner Moody. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Back to FA 176-24. Nathan, do we have any insight yet?
Yeah, Chairman Block, I see Under Sheriff Nathan Smith has joined on, and the other thing, Jody had tried to reach out. We were looking for Lieutenant Moore, but couldn't reach him, but she did mention you do have the contract in to sign, so I don't know if there's anything on that contract that differentiates
Good point.
the year.
It just popped. You know, how you doing word search.
You just,
That was a good catch. Services here, safety, security, service.
Number 30.
2026. Here. Okay, we're gonna go with 2026, and I will, before I sign this, I'll dig through this and make sure that it's correct as well. Okay, so I will entertain, so we need to add in 2026 to that motion, and I will entertain a motion on FA 176-24 for approval of professional service agreement.
I gotta read it. For
Yeah.
Salem County Board of Commissioners hereby approves a professional service agreement for safety and security services between Salem County Community Mental Health Authority and the County of Salem effective October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2026. Further authorizes the board chairman sign the necessary agreement.
Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support by Commissioner Lee. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That will conclude new business. At this time, I'll call for general public comments. Are there any public comments? Hearing none, we're going to move on. There's no need for closed session or approval of closed session minutes. So if there is nothing further to come before the Board of Commissioners, I will entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting at 1:42.
Adjourn.
I have a motion from Commissioner Heberlin, support from Commissioner Ballard. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.